Hello, friends. Um, Now we have been discussing various aspects of BRICS and G20 and ASEAN visit. Then there are some smaller conferences of the Indian Ocean Rings Conference where India takes the lead. So this has been the time of uh, foreign policy and international relations of India. Since India was holding the presidency for a year of G20, it had organized proceedings very well because G20 does not have. Friends, we have been discussing for a few months now what happened in BRICS in Johannesburg, and now after that, pre G20, the preparations which India did. It held a consultation with 150 global south countries. By now, we have become familiar with what are the global south countries as distinct from the global north countries, which you can basically call as the G7 plus the EU. And then after the consultations, the Sherpas, they were called Sherpas, just like those who help people go on the Mount Everest. These are senior people. Amitabh Kant of Niti Ayog India was our Sherpa along with his team. Now they put together all the papers, had consultations in 60 cities, believe it or not, in India. And so they put together the feedback from the Global South and all these deliberations for the leaders to look at and approve it. Now, pre the leaders meeting on 9th and 10th September 23, that is, there was some hesitation that the agreements may not be unanimously passed or with consensus, because the major issue was about the war in Ukraine, and the group from the Western countries wanted to put that it was the fault of Russia, while China was opposed to that, and India, being neutral, had said that this is not an era of war, but they were not at all keen to put the whole blame on Russia, as the UN General Assembly resolutions had said. As the luck would have it, they were able to organize it well and get a consensus on that. So then they put out a New Delhi G20 New Delhi leaders declaration, which we are now linking to this particular program, and it has 83 regular paragraphs and 9 paragraphs on geopolitics, which basically deals with Ukraine and the movement of grains in the Black Sea. Now, so the major takeaways then are that the New Delhi Declaration was passed unanimously with consensus. That's a great achievement. And 83 paragraphs plus 9 on geopolitics is not easy to get everybody's consensus on. So the paragraph on Ukraine was worded in a fashion that nobody then opposed it, which made Russia very happy. It made China also very happy, because China was supporting Russia on this particular matter. And of course, India was happy that it was able to get that consensus. The second major thing was, which happened on the very first day, people were not expecting it, was to unanimously get African Union, which has 55 nations, on board as a permanent member. And so there was a great jubilation, and reactions from the African countries have been, of course, very, very positive, and there has been no negative reaction on this issue at all. Finally, the African nations, like the European Union, will sit on the same table and they can get their issues across and their concerns across. And this happens in the environment when, in the Sahel region, there have been 4 coups, all actually opposing the French colonialism, and there are other ongoing conflicts. So conflicts are there. And later on, we will see how a special project is also coming their way. Then the Biofuels Global Alliance or Global Biofuels Alliance, GBA, was formed, where all the 19 countries of G20 and 16 international organizations like IMF and UN and all that are also members of that. Then was the on the sidelines, but everybody present, was the signing of India, West Asia, Europe, and Economic Corridor. So a tying up of EU, Gulf, but through Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, for a new economic corridor, which then goes via Jordan and Israel. Sorry, starting with the western coast of India, goes via Middle East, then via Jordan and Haifa train, and from Haifa, which is a port which India also has a major share in it, to either Italy or to Greece, and then of course the rest of the distribution Europe. So it's a very well thought out, very ambitious project, and it has been discussed among these countries very thoroughly for last 2 years, and for many people it was a surprise, and that on the podium were all these people, US President, and of course Indian PM, and then the President of the European Union, then the Crown Prince of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, MBS, and Sheikh Mohammed of UAE, and then Premier of Italy, France's President, and Germany's Chancellor. All of them were there. They all spoke, and from the audience, Japanese Prime Minister also spoke, who said that they were working out a separate project in Bay of Bengal, tying up with Bangladesh and Northeast. So that would be the thing. Now, some people think that this alliance is this project is against the Chinese BRI. We will come to it a little later. That perhaps is not really so. The two projects are independent. Yes, the monopoly of China for developing these massive projects under the BRI scheme, trillions of dollars they have spent, will go away. And of course, India is probably one of the biggest beneficiaries in this, because there are 7-8 components in it. There is the shipping lane, which is already there from western part of India to Middle East, but then there will be the undersea cables for the internet connections, possibly the undersea cables for electricity transmission. Then at the west coast, next day, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince had stayed and announced a $50 billion refinery, because this is the economic corridor. So they have to demonstrate that they will be setting at various nodes, various things. Haifa will have a business park, which one of the Indian business groups is organizing, and the train connectivity will be there, the ship connectivity will be there. So movement of fuels. The third part is that hydrogen will be transported, which has not been there earlier. Food parks will be set up, especially in the Middle East, and so every country will be giving its contribution for various things and getting the advantage on that too. Europe will end up getting by ship and trains oil from the Middle East, because their own pipelines from Russia were destroyed during the Ukraine war, and oil coming from US has been very expensive for them. So therefore, and then the thing is that there will be a review meeting in November, because the presidency is there till November, and within that period of about 60 days, they expect this to be fine-tuned, the whole project itself. Now, broadly, if we were to say who the winners are, winner is, well, India, of course, is the winner in this, all this effort. Next one, presidency has gone to Brazil, and thereafter South Africa. So this is all the three BRICS nations, or four rather, in a row, because Indonesia is there. Indonesia is also becoming a member of the BRICS. In a row from the BRICS group of developing countries who will have the presidency, so they can pass on the policies and other background work. Second winner has been actually very interestingly Russia, because that bad spot on them that they are responsible for Ukraine war, etc., and there should be sanctions and whatnot, kind of has gone away. So Russia can deal with things with a little head high, though it had been coping up with the sanctions very well. Now, the immediate output of that has been yesterday, that means 13th. Two agreements have been signed. There is a North Sea route, which is from Antarctica, where Russian ports are there, and oil is there. Transportation of that to Vladivostok, or there is another Kurkusk port, and our minister was there yesterday, and their minister, our Minister of Shipping, Sonowal, and they have signed the agreement for that. India can utilize it. And then there is a Western Mediterranean route, also, which is around the Russian boundary. So India will be able to utilize that. So Russia will have a partner who can make use of these things for shipping, whether it's Russian oil for Indian use or even Russian oil for trade purposes. So these have been the immediate positive outcomes of this. China, in a way, is not a loser, but they did not come. But what they wanted has got achieved. They couldn't have stopped this particular project called the IEEC. And why should they do? But it does not really affect their BRI also. BRI can also progress at its own pace, which is primarily going from the Central Asia onto the Europe in this part of the world. Second major thing which got achieved is about the reform of multilateral institutions. These specific paragraphs are there, but basically they talk about how they should get more tuned to the needs of the developing countries. Mr. Banga, who is the president of the World Bank, I am Ahmedabad graduate, though he's an American citizen now, and Christina, who's the IMF managing director, actively participating in that, and have given their views how good these recommendations have been. Now, third thing is, which was announced by the US, by Mr. Biden himself, the president, that they will have a transcontinental railway. Oh, EU also supported that. Ms. Ursula, the president of EU, supported that on the podium itself, and the project will be again worked out in a framework of 60 days. Remember, EU has had this global partnership for investment announced a few years ago, and they had set about 100 billion euros for that, but no project had really taken up. So I think now they have geared up this IEEC project as well as the Transcontinental African Railway project, which will start from Angola, Lesotho port, and then come Democratic Republic of Congo, which is very, very large territory, used to be the colony of Belgium, 80 times the size of Belgium, and then Zambia, which is one of the largest copper producers in the world, and then so on. But these three countries were announced by Mr. Biden, so we can expect something. on that count. Then the Global Fuels Alliance, less said the better. The time had come. Basically, it's going to talk about liquid fuels, ethanol, and biodiesel. And ethanol is made from the bio waste, and India is quite good at it. Lots of plants have been now set up. And I think it will become essential also to have 10% mixing of ethanol and ethanol is cheaper than petrol in any case. So this alliance actually will be led by India because its experience is more. So the agricultural waste can be converted into ethanol, and therefore it is less polluting. Because otherwise, this agricultural waste, as we know, especially in NCR, Haryana, Punjab, Western UP, all this parali is burnt, and it causes a lot of pollution, and that next month onwards, winter month onwards, this season comes where parali burning creates problem, and then again after the wheat is harvested. Well, India is fifth largest economy. It's now hoping in few years' time to become a third largest economy. As far as neighbors are concerned, Bangladesh, Mauritius were really given a lot of preference, and they were invitees of India. Pakistan, as usual, neither came nor complimented. That's perhaps the only country which has not complimented, but its people have complimented the effort of India and inducted Bangladesh in a number of these projects also. For example, the Japanese project. India has started supplying electricity from India to this thing. There is a small 30 odd kilometers thing from Agartala to Bangladesh railway project, which is also coming up so that the two countries get connected once again with the old railway systems which are there. So Bangladesh is a gainer. UK is a loser because UK is not part of any one of these projects, and they also don't have much money. They have financial problems, but they did not oppose anything except on Ukraine after going back to London. Now the parliamentary session is going on when pushed by the opposition Labour leader of the opposition, Starmer. They have said, why did you not criticize Russia on Ukraine, like the paragraph which was there in the Bali declaration. Same thing as Canadian Prime Minister has gone back. They have criticized him that why you did not criticize this thing. They could not have criticized because all the other countries were in favor of that. So now we will spend some more time on the global biofuels alliance as a separate thing in terms of the trust. We might spend some time understanding what are the changes which are expected in the multilateral banks, but there will be a lot of meetings before that happens. And one of the committees to implement the recommendations of the leaders' declaration is headed by the managing director of IMF. But broad thrust there is that they will become more oriented towards developing countries. So now the coming of the African Union with 55 countries on board, it does not really create a crowd there because it's only one representative who will come, the president of that. Just like the president of the EU comes representing 40 countries. Though individual European countries are also members like Germany and France and Italy and England, UK separately. So all in all, if we see that it has been a very effective effort, and normally people say that these international conferences take place and nothing comes out of it. But if you have planned it well, then some things come out of it. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia stayed on for the next day for state visit, and eight different agreements were signed in the areas of that refinery we just mentioned, in terms of the two Exim banks getting together, the two small industries banks getting together, creating a bridge for the startups, then space cooperation, and then desalination, and so specific projects will start coming out of that. Um, so, MB had said that we'll be willing to invest $100 billion, and $50 billion is already announced for the refinery, so he's taking it up. Similarly, EU had said that they will be investing $100 million for the infrastructure, and now the project which has been conceived actually will be quite expensive one. I don't know. They have not given the calculation going up to $500 billion or something like that. So USA will contribute, UAE will contribute, India will contribute, and so on. But it will be a historic new channel developed like the old time trade which used to be there, and the Hafaz railway which was made under the Ottomans from Damascus to um, Makkah sort of will get operationalized again. Israel will get inducted. I think they are very, very willing to be inducted so that their tensions in the with the Arab world go down. So there have been um, a lot of physical, commercial kind of outcomes, but uh, plenty of foreign relations outcomes which have come out of it. And it positions India as kind of the champion of the global south, as they have been wanting. But also, they made a lot of effort because January 23, they invited or talked to 150 countries. It's not a small thing without having any permanent secretary. So let's hope and wish. We, of course, compliment the foreign policy team, the Sherpas, the Prime Minister, and the whole team which made this epochal thing happen. It has really repositioned India as Bharat in the new Bharat in the eyes of the world. Thank you.